Here's something that happens almost every heavy rain in Ohio. A homeowner calls their insurance company about water in the basement, gets told it's not covered, and finds out too late that their standard policy doesn't touch it. This isn't rare. This happens constantly in my agency when we talk to people moving to Ohio from other states. They see the cheap rates around $1,000 to $1,200 a year and think they're getting a great deal. They are, but cheap can hide some real gaps. Let me show you what those gaps actually are. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why Ohio rates are so low, where the real risk is hiding, and what coverage gap could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Ohio homeowners pay some of the lowest premiums in the country. No hurricanes. That's huge. Insurance companies pay enormous amounts to cover hurricane risk on the coasts. Ohio doesn't have that. You get moderate tornado activity, not the constant exposure that places like Oklahoma deal with. And construction in Ohio runs cheaper than what we see up here in Minneapolis or Chicago. A home that costs $220 per square foot to rebuild in the Twin Cities might run you 130 to 160 in Columbus. That's a real difference when you're talking full replacement. The carriers have competition in Ohio too, and that keeps prices honest. So the cheap rate isn't because Ohio is ignored. It's because the risk profile genuinely is better than most of the country. But here's where people get complacent. Ohio doesn't show up in the mental picture of Tornado Alley. Most people think Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. The truth is that Western and Central Ohio sits right in the expanded tornado zone that meteorologists track seriously. Dayton's been hit multiple times. 2019, those were EF4 tornadoes. Over $1 billion in damage. The standard policy covers wind and tornado damage, so that's fine. The real question is whether your dwelling coverage limit is actually enough. If a tornado destroys your home and your rebuild costs run 150 grand more than your policy says, you pay that gap. In Ohio, it's less likely to happen because rebuilds are cheaper, but it's still worth verifying. And consider an extended replacement cost endorsement that pays 20 to 25% extra if rebuild costs run over the estimate. It's cheap for what it protects. Now, the thing that genuinely blindsides Ohio homeowners, water intrusion from heavy rain is not covered. Columbus gets 39 inches of rainfall a year. Cincinnati gets 42. Heavy events happen regularly, and when they do, water finds its way into basements through foundation cracks, window wells, or because the municipal system backs up and your floor drains fail. Standard homeowners insurance covers water from a burst pipe inside your home. It does not cover water coming in from outside. I see this all the time. Someone moves to Ohio, gets their cheap quote, skips the sewer and water backup endorsement to save 30 or 40 bucks a year. And then a July thunderstorm costs them $8,000 or $9,000 in uninsured basement damage. The mistake is assuming that cheap rates mean you're getting a cheap policy. You're not. You're getting a solid standard policy at a fair price because the location is genuinely lower risk. But that good price makes people skip endorsements they shouldn't skip. Now, in the sewer and water backup add-on is maybe $45 a year in Ohio, and the extended replacement cost endorsement is cheap too. Skipping them to save a few bucks and then having a covered loss run into an uncovered gap. That's the mistake I see people make